Hello, welcome to Shad Life. I am here at Theaterworth. I'm actually going to go ride the Area 36 trails, 45 North and Conundrum, which are what's considered the Lapit Trails. That's building over there. It's called the Trailhead. So these are managed separately than the Mocha and Mork built trails over there, which is the trails I normally ride. The North Loop, the Southwest Loop, all that stuff, Glenwood Loop. But I'm gonna ride this Lapit stuff first because I don't ride it that often and it would be nice to ride it. I have my Japhy with me today in the back. Fits right inside of my Bolt EUV, so I love that. And yeah, I'm gonna just hit those trails. I haven't ridden my Japhy on like actual dirt yet. I've only ridden it at the Japhy's Xcel Energy Bike Park, which is kind of this weird gravelly stuff, and Fruita, which is very rocky and, you know, like not sandy, but you know, it's different, right? But here in Minnesota we have, you know, pretty normal black dirt, some clay, this and that. And it'll be interesting to see how I like this bike, and I'm really interested in riding this bike in the North Loop because I always talk about how tight and twisty that is, and I'm hoping that the 29er with its geometry will handle that trail, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, so here we are doing some more riding here in Minneapolis. That's the other nice thing about these trails, is they are in Minneapolis proper. They're not in the suburbs, they're not out of ways, they're not very far from my house, in a nice heavily wooded area right in the city. Urban, single track, super awesome. Anyway, let's get going. So these are the Lapit Trails. This is Area 36. Kind of interesting because we're already like getting dry. Kind of crazy. So here we are, Area 36 trails. First thing I noticed when getting on this bike, because I rode my Rustler up in Cuyuna for 2 days, is the non-electronic shifting. Believe it or not, like now I have to actually like actuate the levers and do the right thing, and I don't have the ease of just pressing and holding when I need to, or those kinds of things. Oh, that looks sketch. But yeah, kind of funny how once you upgrade to something, it's hard to go back. Not sure I'm ready to go. Well, hi. Wireless shifting on all my bikes. Just not sure I want to do that yet. But I have a feeling it's coming. Into a hairpin, right into an uphill climb. This is, oh my goodness. So right here is why I have to adjust to the not having the electronic shifting. Okay, so it's not that I can't downshift into an easier gear. I mean, this Shimano XT, it's that I rode the Access all weekend, and now I got in the habit of that. And when I came to that tight corner, even knowing, I even said before I went into it that I knew it was a switchback into a climb, and I went and pushed the lever and I could go 3 clicks. Of course I was going fast, so I was in a pretty hard gear, and I did 3 clicks, and I didn't think to like let go and push it like 2 more times right away. So I need to go 3 clicks, let go, push it again, 3 clicks, let go, push it again, 3 clicks. Instead, I just pressed it once and then I was like, oh wait, I gotta push it more. But by the time I thought about it, I was already into the corner. So I've been riding Shimano XT and SRAM GX and all that stuff, mechanical shifting, for years, and I know how to shift when I get to a steep climb suddenly like that. It's just I forgot because I was used to the axis. So, and I like the axis. I like the fact that I can just press and hold the down lever or down toggle, whatever you want to call it, and it'll just keep shifting until I let go of it. That's how I have it set up. It's genius. And so now I have to get my mindset back into this fact that I gotta push multiple times really fast to get into the gear that I want. So don't get me wrong, like, this is Shimano XT Dior shifter, but XT derailleur, and it shifts really well. I've talked about it many times. I love it. It's probably the best shifting out there, best mechanical shifting out there. So it's just that I came from riding my electronic shifting, so now I just have to readjust to this mechanical shifting. So let's stop talking about the shifting, because this is one aspect of the bike. We really want to talk about how this bike rides, and so that's what I'll talk about. So I was just in area 36, and this is Conundrum. This is a fun trail. Good test of this bike and its geometry. Here's a good test. These tight berms, you really lean the bike to get through them is the trick. Well, definitely not as agile as a 27.5 bike. Whew. And this bike is a great climber. It really is. I mean, it's a hardtail, so it should be. Kind of comes up on you quick. I forgot about that one. That one too. This one at least has a big berm. You can lean into it. Hang on, one more. Now I'm going into the third section of the Lapit Trails called 45 North. So I'm just entering these trails and I got 3.7 miles. So there's quite a bit of trail on the Lapit side to add on to the Mork managed trails that I usually ride and that I used to help maintain and build and design many years ago. So, whew, cool. This is a fun trail. Got a lot of little quick ups and downs and flow sections like this. I'm actually doing the LSD style riding because I'm going to do the whole system today. So that's long, slow distance. I've talked about it before, where it's not about going as fast as you possibly can. It's about going far at a steady pace. Thank goodness I adjusted to the mechanical shifting before I got here, because there's a lot of punchy, sudden climbs. and I don't ride this trail enough to have it fully memorized. But at least like right here, I know to just rapidly push the button to get into the easiest gear to climb. It's just about getting used to what you have. Since I have different types of shifting, I have to adjust. All right. Cool. Oh, I thought that was a turn. Whew. That would be fun if I learned this section, because then I could just rip through it knowing what's coming up. Yay, I finally learned how to shift my bike. Oh, 45 north, it's fun. Definitely requires you to be on your toes. That is for sure. Fun. Oh, Theo's North Loop. I've really been looking forward to riding this bike here. So you might wonder why this loop is where I like to test my bikes out, and it's because it's really tight and twisty, and I know it like the back of my hand. So it's like one of those trails where I really get to see the differences between bikes, because I know the trail so well. I've been riding here for so many years, and I helped develop this trail. Oh wow, a little wobbly. And so on and so forth. So I can really judge a bike on this trail system. So this trail is nice, tight, twisty, really tests the agility and handling of a bike. It's pretty cool. Whew. Oh, I almost got my pedal on that log. It's actually funny because I took my foot off because I thought for sure I was going to hit the pedal, and I'd rather just hit the pedal than smash my foot. Funny. Their reflexes. So there's a big rock over up here. So the first time I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna hit it twice. I'm just gonna ride over it. I got a 29er, not even gonna pick up the front wheel. I'm just gonna hit it. Right? Now, I'm gonna go back and do it the way I like to do things. So the idea of a 29er is it rolls over things better. And for people who want that capability in a bike, a 29er certainly does that. But there are some drawbacks to it. What I prefer to do, especially on stuff like this, instead of just hitting it and rolling over like I just did, as I approach, I will pull up my front wheel and set it right on the top of that big rock. Like literally go like almost manual style into it, except I won't put my weight super far back. And then I'll set my front wheel on that rock and then I'll push the bike through. Off my saddle, I just do a lot of the motions to make the bike flow over that. And that's why when I'm riding like a 27.5 bike, stuff like this is a piece of cake, because I make the bike do what it needs to do versus relying on the larger wheel to do it for me, or suspension to do it for me, or any of that. I actually did a how-to, and I'll have that linked right up here in the corner of the screen on this rock on how to ride this. I did it, maybe it was a couple summers ago, but it's a pretty good how-to on how to ride larger features like this. All right, so I'm gonna hit it again, and this time I'm gonna pull out my front wheel, and being that I'm on a 29er, it should be even way smoother than just riding it like I just did. All right, here we go. I mean, that's just so much smoother and better to do it that way than to just ride it, even though with 29-inch wheels. Riding it's just like brutal. You just basically slam into the rock and go over it versus just like basically pulling and pumping the bike over the rock. Speaking of rolling over rocks, this is quite the rocky section. Fun. So the geometry on this bike is excellent. Really impressive. It makes this bike still reasonably playful. And I say reasonably because there's no getting around the larger wheel. Like, you can make the geometry as good as you want it, but you still have 29er wheels, which is always going to be a little bit more weight, more rotational mass, which means that it's going to have more of a gyro effect, which makes the bike more stable but less agile. And regardless how good the geometry is, and this geometry is really good, 29er wheels are always going to have those characteristics over 27.5, which is why I like 27.5. And in fact, I'm actually starting to think that mullet mixed wheel 27.5 rear 29er front is the way to go. Not 100% there to saying it absolutely is, but so far I feel like that is the direction things might start heading, and it makes a lot of sense. as to why. So this is section 5, which is really tight and kind of fun. Good test. Oh, overshot. See, I just don't think I would have done that on a 27.5 like my Hey Duke. Of course, that stuff that makes 29er makes that stuff really easy. So there are trade-offs. There's advantages too. All right. This is a sweet bike. Okay, so to prevent this video from getting way too long, I'm not going to talk about the bike through all these trails. I'm just going to give it a solid assessment of the Esker Japhy because I have ridden it many places now. Got to do some jumping, technical skinnies, things like that on it. Stability wise, this bike is great, super stable, and that's the 29-inch wheels. They create the stability and also a little bit slacker geometry on this bike than the Hey Duke. So super stable, solid bike in that respect. The geometry of this is excellent. The bike still feels as agile as a bike can feel with 29-inch wheels, in my assessment or opinion. Component spec on this bike is excellent. Of course, can't go wrong with Shimano drivetrain. The SDG dropper post, I also have one of those from the original Hey Duke I bought. This Tellus dropper post is probably one of the most reliable posts I've ever had. It just works. I've never had any issues with it. This MRP Raven fork is super awesome. I love it. I love the positive and negative air pressure. It's an amazing fork. I am very impressed with the fork. I don't know where it lies weight-wise with other forks, but I'm gonna rank it right up there with some of the best forks out there. It feels plush where I need it to. You can see where this little indicator is at, and for Theo, that's about right. There's no big hits or drops or anything on this bike, so it's doing its job for pretty, tame trails when it comes to like hard hits and things like that. XT 4-piston. I always want to say dual piston because it's like, I always think two, but there's actually 4 pistons because there's 2 on each side. So 4-piston brakes, so really good brakes. Handlebar stem, no issue there. Like, components are components, those can always be swapped out, but what really matters is how does the frame ride. And I'm so stoked to have this bike. I'm always gonna like my Hey Duke just a little bit better for its agility, and I like to jump and I like to throw my bike around, things like that. But that doesn't mean that this bike doesn't have its place. It is an awesome bike to ride, and like it seems like this, when you're a shorter, smaller rider, 29er wheels tend to take over a little too much, in my opinion. I can handle it because I'm a stronger rider and I've got a high level of skills. But I talk a little bit about, do you want to be the pilot on a bike or the passenger? And you really want to be the pilot. You want to be in control. And if you're a smaller rider and you're riding bigger wheels, you're less able to be the pilot and you're more of a passenger on the bike. That is going to be my reference point from now on. Being a pilot or being a passenger. Pilot means you're in control, you're in charge, you do what you want, and the bike responds. Passenger means you're on there for the ride, so the bike is going to do it, and whatever the bike does, you're you're on it for the ride, right? Not ideal in my book. I do not like to be the passenger. I like to be the pilot. As you saw in this video when I went over that rock, I don't want to just hit the rock and go over it. I want to take charge, pop the front wheel, push through, and do all that stuff to go over the rock. So, excellent bike. I think Esker nailed this one. So far, one of my favorite hardtails. Second to the other Esker, the Hayduke. Only because I do like 27.5 wheel size. But more to come on kind of this whole thing. Mullet has definitely become this new interesting thing of mine. And I have a video out there where I was trying to add gears to my Hayduke mullet build, and the chain ring doesn't work with a Shimano 12-speed chain, so I have to get a new chain ring, and that video will also be up here with it, somewhere around this video. And it's pretty funny because I didn't get the job accomplished because I really wanted to ride that bike today, but I did get to ride this one, and this bike's awesome. Yes, if you were to ask me if you should get a Japhy, my question for you would be, what kind of riding are you going to do? How do you ride? Do you like to be able to throw a bike around and things like that? If the answer is yes, I'd probably steer you more towards the Hayduke or another hardtail that with a 27.5 wheel, or an MX build with a 29er front, 27.5 rear. If you were more about longer distance, wanting the speed to roll over stuff, wanting the stability, wanting the bike to be a little bit more in control, then by all means the Japhy would be your ticket for that. Sweet. I really appreciate your support from my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.